So the Oklahoma State Cowboys have taken down the Texas Longhorns in Austin, remaining undefeated and putting themselves in prime position to make the Big 12 Championship. However, on the flip side, Texas sustains their third loss of the season, their second loss within the Big 12, and there's a lot we need to talk about that happened within this game. Before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. First and foremost, are you surprised that Oklahoma State got the victory? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no, and then let me know what was your biggest takeaway from today's game. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions, though small, are massive to content creators such as myself in getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But with all that being said, let's get into this because first and foremost, there's a rumor going out that during the fourth quarter of that football game, a missing persons report was put out in place of the Texas offense because they were non-existent down the stretch in this game. And this is the exact problem we saw last week where Texas blew a lead to the Oklahoma Sooners, and in the latter portion of the game, they just failed to make the adjustments to maintain success. We see the Texas Longhorns come out swinging early in games. Bijan Robinson is exactly who we thought he was. He is easily one of the most talented players in all of the country, and once again showed that today. But the Texas Longhorns are not doing adjustments to be able to sustain success throughout the game, whereas Oklahoma State was able to play the game they wanted throughout the entirety of this game. Oklahoma State is a patient team. If you watched the video during the week when I talked about this game and why I was so interested in it, it was very simple. Because I'm very interested in stylistic matchups when it comes to football, much like fighting in UFC or boxing. And this game right here provided an intriguing one. A top 20 offense for the Texas Longhorns, led by Bijan Robinson, taking on a top 20 defense for Oklahoma State. Now, Oklahoma State hadn't seen an offense like the Texas Longhorns, so I was very interested how that defense would respond going up against an offense who we've at least seen be very high-powered throughout this year. Texas coming off of a week where they blew a lead to bitter rival Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. And even though that's a game where the unexpected can be expected, that still takes a toll on your team, and I was interested to see how Texas would bounce back from that. But once again this week, Texas gets a lead and fails to be able to maintain it, and Oklahoma State was the victor this time. Now, Oklahoma State's defense, like I said, ultimately was able to play the game they wanted. If we look at the score sheet at the end of this game and the stat sheet, Texas had no success sustaining drives, going 4 for 14 on third down, and that's exactly what Oklahoma State wants. Oklahoma State has a hard-nosed defense that has been successful in stifling runs, and even though Bijan got his today, that's to be expected. It's Bijan. We know how talented he is. He's an unbelievable back, but it was outside of that, the lack of success Texas had on anything else for 4 quarters. It was very apparent and really reared its head in the second half. And ultimately, Texas is playing into the game Oklahoma State wants when they're going 4 for 14 on third down, because Texas is then putting more pressure on their own defense that has not been good through this year. Texas's defense was a unit that has been being picked on, and down the stretch in this game, they got beat up. Oklahoma State was able to get whatever they wanted, and Texas hasn't been able to stop anything. And there are a lot of areas to fix within Texas's defense, but probably one of the most astounding portions of the problem for the Longhorns defense is the lack of tackling. It is downright astounding how they have struggled to tackle, and that's something that must be fixed going forward because it's just perplexing at this point. Oklahoma State, remaining undefeated, is in prime position for the Big 12 Championship. They still have to take on OU, but Oklahoma State getting this win under their belt has got to feel good, especially when their offense was able to generate success and their defense was really able to stifle an offense who we've seen be very creative. For the Texas Longhorns, however, you need to go back to the drawing board, and it's not going to be a simple fix, but it's going to be one that can at least be worked towards throughout the rest of this year, and that's going to make the Longhorns very intriguing to watch down the stretch, how some of these issues are going about being fixed and how the coaching staff is going to address it. Because Bijan Robinson's very talented, but it's going to be very hard for him to carry this team any more than he already has. Hop down to the comments. I'm really interested in hearing from y'all. Oklahoma State getting a great victory, and this is going to make the game between OU and Oklahoma State all the more intriguing. That's it. See ya.